Didn't I tell y'all that they were going to move on at some point to the next shiny thing? We talked about this, right? That at some point, these guys were going to move on to the next shiny thing. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Retro Hoop Collectibles. Yet again, another crappy story, sad news, evidence of fraud and mismanagement of funds and embezzlement and allegedly. I wasn't really going to make a video about this. I really wasn't. I think the guy, I'm going to link it in the description. The guys from Bench Clear Media, I think, did a great job of doing this video and covering this story. Mike and Ty over at Bench Clear Media did a great job, and I'm gonna link their video down in the description. I'll link it up top so you guys can go watch it. They pretty much have an amazing take on this entire story. For those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Marx Cards, M-A-R-X, on the old Grammygram. So let's take a look here. Marx Cards on Instagram is out of business. Okay, and their huge group submitted to PSA their claim to Okay, I almost forgot. Today is the absolute last day. Before we get into the video, today is the absolute last day that you can enter for a free hobby box that is being given away by Collect 3D Prints. If you guys don't know what Collect 3D Prints, it's all the displays. I got all the stuff. Check them out at the link below, collect3dprints.com. Every dollar that you spend gets you an entry. We're gonna do the name pulling tomorrow, but today is the last day that you can enter. Up until midnight. January 21st at midnight, the poll closes. The giveaway is over. Every dollar that you spend, you get an entry. Check the link in the description below. Back to the video. Their claim to fame being that they were literally right next door to PSA, and if you submitted with them, you would circumvent the entire shipping and receiving process. Okay, because they would go drop the cards off at the front door. And that was very appealing to a lot of people. And so they had submissions coming in by the thousands to the tune of about $1 million worth of submission fees that they had outstanding at PSA. Ideally, the situation would go that if you were a group submitter and people submitted cards with you and paid for them up front, that you would then in turn hold that money in escrow for the day that the bill comes through so that you can pay it and give the customers their cards back. That didn't seem to be the case. Allegations of them using that money to front the building of a card shop, just a bunch of other stuff. Again, this is where we're talking about the mismanagement and misappropriations of funds. You got to be real careful about who you trust out there with your money like this. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is a little bit concerning because as we're getting to a point in the backlog for PSA where they're working through this massive mountain, right? We talked about it in the update video on Wednesday. We talked a little bit about it yesterday in the video about the $50 submission fee. They are at a point in their backlog where people they were getting, I think they said like 500,000 cards submitted a month or some crazy number like that. And the thing is that they've built up their workforce to be able to put out almost 250,000 cards a week, right? About 200,000 cards a week, a little less. And they're going to be pumping them out. Coming here within the next 2 or 3 months, you guys are going to see a lot of cards coming back to people. You're going to see a lot of submission reveals on YouTube. You're going to see a lot of, Cards getting pumped into the market. On eBay, on slab stocks, you're going to see them all over the place. And, that's a whole nother discussion, right? We'll talk about that another day. But it's getting to a point to where, the bill is going to come due for a lot of this stuff. And even though this Marx cards, the situation with Marx cards is a big one, right? Obviously, because they were such a big name, because they made such a big name for themselves, because of the value add that they had, because of their geographic location. But I can't imagine how many more of these situations are out there on a much smaller scale, but that are still affecting people, right? And it's just a sad story, because these are the types of stories that are really going to turn people off. And again, this is an opinion that came from the guys at Bench Clear Media, from Mike at Bench Clear Media, that made this comment that really resonated with me. He said, man, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to listen to the news of the hobby these last 5-10 days of the negativity behind the Logan Paul thing, the negativity behind the backyard break kids thing, and then now this, and they're going to go, I'm not dealing with that hobby. I mean, it looks fun, but man, it's a bunch of frauds and a bunch of knuckleheads ripping each other off. And that's going to suck, because the hobby was in a really good place from a growth standpoint. And it was getting a lot of attention. And of course, with a lot of attention comes a lot of money. And of course, with a lot of money comes people that are going to try to defraud one another. I'm not saying that Marx cards was their intention was to do this, but obviously a mismanagement and a misappropriation of funds is what put them in this position. Again, my cards are with a group submitter at the moment. I stay in constant contact with my group submitter. And to think about it, I actually haven't really discussed this whole idea. I just automatically assumed that he was holding the money in escrow and that he's going to be ready to pay the bill when the bill comes due. Might need to check up on that. Anyway, I'm not saying that Marx cards set off with the intention to do this. I just think that they got caught with their pants down. And they're in a bad spot. Now they're filing for bankruptcy, and a lot of people are out a lot of cards. They're saying that they're working with PSA over the next 7 days to get people their cards back. Who knows how long that's going to take? It's just a lot of bad stuff going on. And it's not a good thing for the hobby as a whole, because it's going to scare away a lot of people. Don't necessarily think that's the worst thing in the world, because maybe we do need to shake off some of these fly-by-night, quick buck, snake oil salesman type guys. You guys know who I'm talking about? That are just here for the flip, And I don't know. I just think that we're getting to a point in the hobby where the pump is almost done, and we may be on the side that leans more towards the dump, especially as we're going to see in the next maybe 2 or 3 months, this massive wave of slabs from PSA start to hit the open market for prices that at the time that the raw cards were submitted, there's no way, people were submitting 50 Lou Bobs or, 25 Zion Williams, Donruss rated rookies, in hopes of hitting a 10 and selling it for $300 is worth $20 now. You know what I mean? Or $10 or not even, So we'll see. We'll see what happens over the next coming weeks. But I think that this is just the beginning. I think that this is the beginning of the unraveling of the people that were in it strictly for the money. I'm not going to act like I've been here forever, right? You guys know my story. I just got back into this late 2018, early 2019, 2017. I dibble-dabbled a little bit as I was walking in Walmart, kind of caught my eye. And I'm like, oh, man, I used to collect back. Let me see what... You know what I mean? But at the same time, I didn't jump into this for the flip, right? I started this YouTube channel because I just wanted to rip. I was ripping wax, like 90s junk wax, because it was just fun. And I remember how fun it was when I was a kid. And I got kids now. Some of you do too. But I just think that those of us who got into it for those reasons, for the love of the hobby, for the love of collecting. I think the day is coming to where we're starting to shed off some of the people who were just in it for the money, strictly for the money, strictly for the flip, strictly for the ROI. The Gordon Geckos, as I like to call them. But we do have one shining silver lining in this dark cloud that I just want to talk about real quick because I think this is outstanding. Ryan from Card Collector 2 was one of the larger group submitters that submitted through Marx Cards. Now, a lot of people are clowning him, but in my opinion, he wasn't doing anything but making up what he thought at the time was a good business decision. He figured, I'll link up with this Marx card guy. He can give me my cards faster. I'll submit through him. People submit to me. I'll submit to him. He gets them done really quick, sends them back to me, and I get them in the hands of my customers quicker. And he got bit, right? He made that decision. He made the decision. People trusted him with his cards. He, in turn, trusted someone else. And he got burned. There's no doubt about it. But he did the stand-up thing and bit the bullet, took it on the chin, flew to PSA, paid the $110,000 bill yet again out of his own pocket, left nothing but a promissory note, right? Is that what he said? Is that how you say it? A promissory note? Basically, I'll pay you back, an IOU from this Marx Cards, grabbed his stuff, flew back to his hometown, and took care of his people, took care of his customers. And if there's any way in the hobby that we can give like a stand-up guy of the year award, it should be to him. I don't know anything about him other than I'm aware of who he is. He's obviously a big figure in the hobby. Occasionally I'll catch one of his Card Talk podcasts when it's kind of relevant to what I'm looking at or a current event. And then I've watched a few of his YouTube videos on, starting his journey and starting his card shop and things like that. But I don't really need to know anything outside of what he did. It's plain and simple. I think we've seen both spectrums of how this thing can get, right? The ugly side of the hobby. And then with what Ryan just did, we're seeing the stand-up, holding integrity at his highest level side of the hobby, which is great. Let me know what you guys think. This is a really interesting situation. I think it's a really interesting and very pivotal time in the hobby. It's a very pivotal time in the hobby. And I said it in the PSA video, but now I'm going to extend it to the hobby in general. What happens over the next 3 to 4 months is going to be very interesting as this hobby goes into the next chapter, the post-Gold Rush chapter of this hobby. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. Appreciate y'all. Love y'all.